In a world full of movie podcasts, here is one more. Welcome to Defend Your Movie with Sean Donnelly.
The time has come again. The champion must stand. It can only be one of us. Victoria! So stand up and fight, my friend. There's a title you must defend. Shut it on, bring it to me. Defend your movie.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the podcast, Defend Your Movie!
I didn't know you were going to say the podcast before. I was really ready to be right there with you.
I was trying to switch
Show
it up.
everybody our infamous chemistry. I was right there, and then you went on with the podcast.
I am here with my amazing co-host, Farrah Brooke. Farrah, how are you?
Oh, I'm just doing so well.
Everything's good?
Amazing.
All right, good to see you.
Had a great weekend.
You had a great weekend?
Yeah, Memorial Day.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to introduce our guest, and then you can tell us about your weekend?
You can introduce.
Okay. Our guest today, super funny comic, performs all over the country. You know who he is. Give it up for Sam Evans, everybody.
Hello. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for doing this, dude. We appreciate you coming in.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
How about you? What did you do for your Memorial Day weekend?
I just took it easy. I went
Yeah.
to one barbecue Saturday, and then Monday didn't even move. Yeah.
It's kind of the same way. And you guys think of it this way now when it comes to like invites to things? Do you feel like people will invite you on Facebook and I never check the invites?
Never.
Like,
No. And if I do and I see it, I just say attending, but I don't mean it at all.
Me too. And
Yeah.
the amount
I'm
of
just
times,
trying to support my friends.
but it doesn't do anything. The amount of times that I've joked around and been like, oh yeah, the barbecue, I'd love to have gone. I'm like, yeah, I invited you. Like, I told you about it a month ago and I invited you on
real,
Facebook.
I do expect a text.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Yeah.
because I might not see that or know what it is.
That's why when I had that birthday party, I had my 40th birthday party. I had it last week. I had it on the 19th, on my birthday, on the 19th.
Happy
And
birthday, Shawnee.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.
And thank you. And I told people all the my
I
whole day
know.
was me like texting, telling people like, please don't forget, come to the birthday because I wanted it to be packed.
You told me to tell people, and everyone I told had already heard from you.
Yeah, I had heard from you a couple
Right,
weeks
Sean?
prior.
I had heard months prior. I
was
had
so
this in my
paranoid.
calendar months. I've never seen someone invite more people more times to their
But
birthday.
was it fun?
It was very fun, I have to say.
Sam, was it fun?
It was very fun.
It was fun, right?
Yeah,
It was
super fun.
great. Shawnee got us pizza.
Got it from
It was
Joe's,
dope.
which is like the best pizza place.
I got another pie from there on Saturday.
Did you? Oh, what, to your house? Because you live near the one in the West Village.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That's
Would you get Sicilian or regular?
regular.
Their Sicilian's unbelievable.
Is it really?
I've never had the Sicilian.
It's really good.
That's my favorite regular size.
Growing up, you grew up where in Ohio, right?
Ohio, yeah.
Ohio, yeah. Growing up in New York, okay, the way that Joe's Pizza is like how I thought of city pizza when I was growing up. Like, if you took a trip to the city, I would go to like Nick's Caves with my dad, and you'd go get pizza by Penn Station. That's what it was like the good pizza places.
Yeah.
There's probably crappy ones too, but there's a lot more good ones back in the day. And then all those people, I think, left, and that's why Long Island pizza's so good now, and Jersey pizza's so good now, because all these Italians, they left the city to go to the suburbs, and now they just opened up pizza places there. Like, there's a place... Then, by me, there's a place called Umberto's, which is in Long Island. Do you know Umberto's?
I always
New
go
Hyde
by
Park?
you. There's this, is it called Slice or something? I love
Oh, that's in Long
that.
Island City.
Slice.
Yeah,
I just
Slice
had
is
slices from there the other night.
It's really
It's
good.
really
Yeah.
tops.
Do you live over there?
I'm in Astoria, so I'm there pretty. Yeah,
I'm right by
regularly.
the creek in the cave.
Yeah.
Me and
Took me way too long to realize that in the middle of Slice they have highlighted LIC, so it makes sense.
yes, that's the whole.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
And then watch out with the one that has
I
IC.
probably
The one that has
realize
ice
that.
highlighted. Don't bring your Mexican friend. The one that has because it's a front. Watch out! It's immigration.
We should have seen this coming.
Why is the IC highlighted? Whoa! What?
Lice.
Yeah. Lice, yeah. And don't go to the one with lice highlighted because that's just gross. Yeah.
All right.
That just has a bunch of fifth graders shaking their heads.
You went too far.
That was fun. Thank you so much for coming in, Sam.
Yes.
Farrah, thank you for being here as well. 2 episodes in a row with Farrah Brook. We can't believe it.
It's unbelievable. When
The
it can
fans
happen,
are so excited.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
I feel honored. It's great.
And I'm going to do the same spiel I did last week, which is the way the podcast used to go. When I came up with the idea of the podcast, I thought it'd be great to have it where somebody comes in, they defend a movie they love that nobody else does. Everybody thought it was a great idea. So did we for about a year. And then we realized that people rack their brains trying to come up with these movies that nobody likes that they like. And it's really hard. So, and also sometimes they're lackluster episodes because a lot of people don't know the movie or it's very obscure. You have to see it. So I've decided from now on we're going to do themed episodes and also versus episodes. So it's going to be one movie versus another, or it's going to be like the movie. The topic we have today is going to be pretty much which is the best Wes Anderson movie. And the way that came about is me and Sam were talking before he came in, and he brought up the fact that he could defend Life Aquatic or Royal Tenenbaums, and I wholeheartedly am on such the side of Royal Tenenbaums more than Life Aquatic. So it intrigued me to think, because you said, you're like, well, they're really close, but I like Tenenbaums better, but they're really close. Yeah. I don't see how Life Aquatic could be close to Tenenbaums.
Really?
I think Tenenbaums is such a way better
great.
movie. It's great.
Yeah.
But you put it on, like, there's certain things about Life Aquatic, that's like the only thing, like, I'll watch, there's scenes from Life Aquatic that I will just watch on YouTube because they get you upset. But like, you're like really when you're about to cry, but you don't.
Oh,
so
sure.
like, but the rest of the movie I don't want to watch. Like, so I'll never watch the full movie. But Tenenbaums, if it's on, I'll just leave it on, or if it's on Netflix, I'll pop it on, or whatever it is.
Yes.
So that's the difference for me. I'm like, one, the movie I love. The other one has a couple of really standout scenes.
I'm interested to see what
scenes?
Yeah.
I can tell you.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. The 2 scenes for Life Aquatic. This is what I'll give you before I say why it's not good. Is like it's when they see the shark. When they see the shark, they play
at the end. You mean? And
yes, at the end, and they find what's it called again? The leopard shark.
Yeah, jaguar shark.
Jaguar shark. They're in this fake submarine, Wes Anderson world submarine, and they get down there. And Bill Murray's there, and they see the sharks, and he says, like, "Do you think it remembers me?" That gets me every time. There's something really heartfelt about that. Like, and also Bill Murray's a great actor, and he really pulls it off. It's such a ridiculous. That's why it's a very standout scene in a very okay movie because it's so ridiculous. They're literally on a set in this like goofy looking like fake submarine, and there's a thing called a jaguar shark in front of them, and he is like, "Hey, do you think it remembers me from the last time it saw me?" And he starts crying, and they all like give him a big hug. Now it's a very ridiculous scene, but I think it's very heartfelt and sad and whatever it is.
I think you're touching on what to me puts it in contention with Royal Tenenbaums, which is that I think Royal Tenenbaums, you have like this great ensemble movie, right? But I think Life Aquatic, even though there are so many great actors in it, I think it's driven by such a good performance by Bill Murray. I like him as a character.
Yeah.
I just think it's great.
But then you could take it back to, okay, what you could say is Bill Murray, a lot of the stuff that he does is just out of control good. That's why, it's so funny. And it's the whole package. When you hear about how he has no agent and manager, and to get in touch with him, you have to call his friend.
That's how he ended up doing Garfield.
That's how he did Garfield. Yeah, by accident, right? Remember? And when you hear all these stories about him, you're like, oh, that just totally fits this. Like, that's an artist. That's a weird thing to do. He's a weird guy. He's been famous for 50 years or whatever, 45 years, whatever it is. And he figured it out. He does exactly what he wants. He probably dictates what he makes, for the most part. Money-wise, probably doesn't even give a shit at this point about that.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he's so, like, one of the things was with Wes Anderson, I saw an interview with Bill Murray where he was like, Wes Anderson contacts him, and the minute he says anything, he just right away is on board. Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
So that's another reason to love Bill Murray for that reason. Now, as far as performance goes, I'll put up his performance in Rushmore. I will put up against the Life Aquatic one. I think.
Oh, you like his Rushmore performance?
His Rushmore performance, I think, is he's supposed to be like Ted Turner in Rushmore.
Yeah.
But it's not just he's hilarious in it, but also you do have dramatic moments that he does a great job at.
Sure. Yeah. Well, he's so good at playing the dick, which is just such a hallmark of any Wes Anderson movie, is the dick that you like.
Yeah.
And
it's
nails
mostly
it both
like
times.
a dad. I wonder if Wes Anderson has daddy issues.
Oh,
it's
I bet.
mostly like a dad dick. It's almost dad.
Yeah.
It sounds bad. Why is there dad dicks all over this movie?
Yeah, there absolutely must be.
But think about you're absolutely right, because All right, go as far back as Bottle Rocket. James Caan is a father figure to them as robbers.
Yeah.
He ends up being a dick because he robs them at the end. That was his whole point of the movie.
Yeah.
If you spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. Rushmore.
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray's a dick, but then he softens up by the end.
Yeah.
And he
That's the whole conflict
kid,
of the movie. Is it's always the dad is a dick. I guess not as much in Bottle Rocket, but like the softening of this asshole father figure.
Yeah. You're right.
Gene Hackman. That's the whole plot of the movie.
That's fucking genius. I did not realize that's every Wes Anderson movie pretty much.
And if you look at like a lot of the female characters, they're always like, much more like, first of all, rational and also just like sweet and nurturing.
Yeah. Well, what are the ones? Rushmore is Olivia. What's her name? Olivia, not Diabo. What's her name? Rosemary the teacher. But the actress's name. She was in like Sixth Sense and stuff like that.
Yes.
You're right, and it's one of those things where you have a crush on her right away. You're like, that's why they did a perfect job of casting because you realize why the kid's so much into her.
Should we do stats on stats?
You want to start off with stats on stats?
You're talking about the cast.
Yeah, let's do it.
I do see that Life Aquatic is trailing well behind Royal Tenenbaums.
Is this by critical reception?
That's why it's an interesting opinion because a lot of people don't like Life Aquatic, and I don't hate on it like.
Steve Zissou.
Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, yeah.
Okay.
He's the Zissou.
And now, our segment, Stats on Stats.
Do you want to start off?
I keep trying to make this a thing, and no one will let it be.
You're starting off with Life Aquatic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, which one do you want me to start?
Whatever you have up.
The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. A rated R 2004 drama action running at 1 hour and 59 minutes. It has a 7.3 out of 10 IMDb score, 56% Rotten Tomatoes, 62% Metacritic,
56%? Yeah.
and 85%.
Wow, it didn't do well.
That is low.
It's low. Wow.
With 85% of
Wes
Google
Anderson.
users.
It does not deserve to be that
Wow,
low. Okay?
this is
Even if you don't like it, it does not deserve to be that.
That's
It's a
super
fun
low.
movie.
What did I say? It was trailing hard.
You know what it does? It does when you're comparing it to other Wes Anderson movies. That holds up as well.
But all his movies are incredible. I'm a huge Wes Anderson fan.
All his movies aren't. I think to be honest, I am of the school of thought. Like I was so obsessed with that whole crew when Bottle Rocket was made and Rushmore was made and Royal Tenenbaums, and then when he kept going, but the more he kept going on his own, and he became, it was like I don't want to call it totally hipsterfied, but it's like his own universe thing where it just became like Tenenbaums was like, it was so great because it was his own universe, but it was like an exaggerated inside baseball joke about New York City, like the 375th Street Y
and New York City elite kind of.
New York City elite, like it's basically like an Upper West Side old school world, but the Wes Anderson version, and the color scheme was all different, and it was, the gypsy cabs were an actual company in it. They were, that's funny, especially if you're in New York. It was like almost like an ode to New York in a weird fantasy-like way.
Reminding me I have to tell you my story about
your
that
Royal
movie.
Tenenbaums story?
Yes.
Okay.
But let me finish stats on stats.
All right, go ahead. Go stats on
stats. We're back on Life Aquatic with a cast of Bill Murray, Owen Wilson, Cate Blanchett, Angelica Houston, Sue George, Willem Dafoe, Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum's such a good part of that movie.
He's great. In Life Aquatic, he's so great. He's great in anything he does. He's
yeah.
But
now we'll turn
also,
the page.
hold on. So do you want to do what we did last time where it's like, could the movie be made today? I think there's no problems.
Oh, we run it up on a 2000.
Oh, yeah. Could you remake it? Well, that's a good
could
measure
it
because it's like, how well does it age, right?
Right. How well
does
Can
it
you
age?
remake it?
But can you remake it also with...
No, does the cast hold up?
Meaning like...
Oh, like Caught Up in Scandal now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, shit. Actually, yes. Amazingly.
It really
holds
does
up.
here.
Yeah.
It really does here. Very proud of that cast.
So there you go. That's the public speaking. That's your Life. That's why I'm saying that. I was so shocked when you're like, it's close. It's not
I guess
close.
I never really realized the critical reception.
Well,
but
let's see it back to back
All
and
right.
hear the differences.
Oh, no.
Now,
Royal Tenenbaums.
it's not as high as you'd think.
Really?
The Royal Tenenbaums, rated R, a 2001 drama comedy, running at 1 hour and 50 minutes. It has a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb, 80% Rotten Tomatoes, 76% Metacritic. 85% of Google users like this movie.
What? See, you know what?
It has a cast featuring Gwyneth Paltrow, Owen Wilson, Bill Murray, Gene Hackman, Luke Wilson, Angelica Houston, Ben Stiller, and good.
Well, here's the
crews, too.
thing. One thing you can bring up is this. Now, we always joke around with the Google users because the difference on Life Aquatic
It's
Google
always
users,
86.
Rotten
for Google
Tomatoes was
users.
50%. Google users was like 80-something percent. This, Google users is 85. Rotten Tomatoes is 80%. There's less of a margin.
That's so weird. I thought it would
So
have
we're
been
at a
higher
56
just because
versus an 80%
Yeah,
Rotten
yeah.
Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Both not stellar scores, and
No,
I'm
yeah.
surprised about the Royal Tenenbaums. I mean, I thought
No,
that's
even that
wildly
has its
loved as a
critiques.
beloved movie.
I love it, but it does have its critics. It does have it.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
it surprised me because like even though like I love Life Aquatic, but I do recognize that like it's mostly Royal Tenenbaums is acknowledged as like his magnum opus.
Right.
So you would think I would have expected like into the 90s almost.
Well, that's the thing. That's the question I was going to ask next. What is considered his magnum opus? Would it be Royal Tenenbaums, I guess?
Yeah, I
because it was
think
the
so.
most. But you would think it's the most well received. But after reading those scores, it's like, has that changed over time? Like, look up Rushmore for me. I'm wondering if it's Rushmore. Rushmore
Like
might
his
have done
highest
better.
scoring?
His highest scoring. Not that that's the end all be all, but I
Sure.
mean, but to
Yeah.
get an idea of what online people are clicking yay or nay to.
Rushmore, a rated R 1998 drama comedy running at an hour and 33 minutes. We have a 7.7 out of 10 IMDb and 89% Rotten
Wow.
Tomatoes.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, yeah.
86
I
Metacritic,
knew it.
84% of
It's technically a
Google
better.
users
I think it's a
like
better
this
movie.
Really?
I think
So
Rushmore.
you're in the camp that Rushmore
Rushmore
is the
better
best
than
one.
I think Rushmore might be the best one. Bottle Rocket.
I've never even heard of that one.
Rushmore. Mm-hmm. How do you not hear of Rushmore?
I never
With
heard
Jason
of it.
Silverman.
Nope.
That's 98.
You know what it is? I think I like Life Aquatic and Royal Tenenbaums better than Rushmore because I think they're like slightly, not that like Rushmore's not a not happy ending, but I think Royal Tenenbaums and Life Aquatic are like slightly better. He always ends on like a bittersweet thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like Royal Tenenbaums is so sweet because it's just like the whole family's like quote unquote back together.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? And he
Well,
dies.
he ends
but-
up dying.
Yeah,
yeah.
But they're all there. They give him a 21 gun salute. Like he talks
It's,
about,
you mean it's more a complete picture?
Yes.
But then, you have that in Rushmore though. You have at the end when he goes to the dance, and then he finally introduces his dad to people. He's not embarrassed with his dad being the barber, and
That's true.
And he literally he's okay with her dating Luke Wilson, and then has his own girlfriend. It kind of wraps up pretty nicely.
Yeah.
It's a smaller story. Well, no, they're both pretty small stories. I think it just depends on whatever speaks to you more. I guess that's what it is.
Maybe that's what I like about it. It's
Well-
just the grandeur of both Life
And it
Aquatic
depends on, you know what another good question would be is, how much do you love the Wes Anderson world? Because the more that
love
the
it.
deeper you
Yeah.
get down that fucking foxhole, the farther you get into his career, if you like his later movies more, you like the I don't know what you would call it, just like,
I
the
think
fantasy
I
world.
do like the
Yeah.
later ones more. I
Well, you love
loved
Moonrise
I
Kingdom.
loved
See, I
Moonrise
don't.
Kingdom.
I like
I was
Rushmore
very,
way better
very
than Moonrise
moved
Kingdom.
by that film, and I at
think
that
it
point
falls
didn't
off.
really
I think
know what Wes Anderson was. That obviously, and then I was in the movie theater with really no expectation, and I was just like amazed.
When I saw
Thought it
Bottle
was so
Rocket,
beautiful.
I saw Bottle Rocket in college, and when I was like 18, I was in Manhattan College, and I was obsessed. Like, right away, I was like, I love this freaking movie. And Bottle Rocket there's no fantasy there. It's straight up, they're in their own world, and they're delusional, and they're just these suburban guys
That
in
has
Texas
an
that wanna be-
85% Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's really good. And they're these guys who just want to be robbers, but there's no Wes Anderson sheen to it. There's no the set dressing, whatever you want to call it, of what he did from then on. But it was him and Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson who made that. And as time went on, it went just to him. Like Moonrise Kingdom's like all Wes Anderson. Budapest Hotel, all Wes Anderson. They get more and more
like that
serious
one,
as
too.
time goes on, and the humor gets very, very way drier,
Very dry.
way
But
drier than early on.
And normally I don't like dry humor, but I think it works so well.
It does. It works well when you match it with the look of those movies.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like, okay, how about this? A lot of people hate Darjeeling Limited.
I didn't think it like held a candle to Life Aquatic or Royal Tenenbaums or Rushmore, but I was a sucker for it because it's a movie about three brothers. I have two older brothers.
Yeah, that'll
and I
do it.
texted him, and of course my brother was like, "It's fucking dog shit." But the scene,
It has a 69%
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes.
People don't do that much.
I can't believe
But
it
that's
scored
higher than
Life
Life
Aquatic. That's crazy to me.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
by far.
No,
Yeah.
Life Aquatic people were not into it at all.
I loved it. I had no idea that it's not.
I think-
I still think it's great.
I'm going to watch it. You convinced me.
Yeah.
Life Aquatic, I think, is better than. I think it's better than Darjeeling.
Darjeeling, it's just like I think he's dwelling too much in this formula that like we've already seen. You know what I mean?
Which one? Oh, Darjeeling?
Yeah, it's like a family that's like at odds with each other and dot dot dot. You
Right,
know,
so
they're
you want
like
them to
these
get out of
flawed
that.
geniuses or whatever. Yeah, I'll still watch it. I'll still like it.
Well, that's
but-
what we're saying. Everything, you know, God, it's so funny because let's try to. We kind of got sidetracked. The dad dick thing really does because even
We're
in
back to dad dick.
even Darjeeling,
Yummy.
the dad's dead still. But even from being dead, he's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
dick.
yeah.
He's splitting the brothers up just from opinion.
Absolutely.
And then the mom, they have to go see the mom and all that kind of stuff. So then you have Life Aquatic, same thing. You have Steve Zissou, dick dad. You have Moonrise Kingdom. I think that's when you don't have it.
No,
Yeah.
there was a dad though in that.
No, it was Edward Norton's the Scoutmaster, and then they have to find They have
Bruce Willis is in it too.
Yeah,
It's
Bruce
like
Willis is great.
Isn't he? What is he? A cop in it or?
Yeah,
what?
I think
It's
so.
like some sort of.
I
Ranger,
kind
Park
of
Ranger or
now
something?
can't even really remember what it is, but
Yeah.
Edward Norton.
It's more like to me. It's like I think all Wes Anderson movies, to a certain extent, are like vaguely fairy tale esque.
I know.
Absolutely.
Even I would even say Bottle Rocket, just because. And I've heard this as a criticism before, but I love it. Is that people will watch any of his movies and be like, nobody fucking talks like that. And I'm like, yeah, but I love that. I
Yeah,
don't-
yeah, me too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like when people. Well, that's what I think it's supposed to be. It's almost like every movie, especially now that he has, is like, oh, here's a play. Here's a play with, and this is. It's
Yeah.
almost like his own version of Shakespeare.
Well, and there's so many plays in the movie. There's like constantly plays. You know,
Yeah.
Rushmore.
Did you
Royal
see
Tenenbaums.
Isle of Dogs?
I haven't seen Isle of Dogs, and I fell asleep in the theater for Fantastic Mr. Fox.
See, those are the ones. Both of those,
Isle of Dogs, 89% Rotten Tomatoes.
yeah, it's
that's
doing
supposed
pretty
to be
well,
good.
I think.
I heard. I don't know why someone said it was so bad,
I
but
can't
then now I've
believe
heard
Life
it's good.
Aquatic is the lowest scoring.
It's so funny
blows
to me.
my mind.
I'm telling you, when you
Sorry,
texted me,
Sam.
I was like, oh, that's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
interesting that he
Let
thinks.
me tell you some
Yeah,
of the other
defend
strengths.
it.
Okay, maybe the strength of any Wes Anderson movie, one of the biggest strengths is the soundtrack, right? Always
Well,
great.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can name 10 of them, or 5 of them that have amazing.
Sure. But I think that takes the soundtrack element up for me in Life Aquatic is Sue George, who's in the movie.
yeah.
And they have a bunch of Bowie songs on the soundtrack, and just throughout the film, and he's just really talented, and that just like
That
ratchets
adds
up
on,
the
yeah.
ambiance.
But as far as story goes, like,
Other defenses?
I love the story. I
soundtrack?
think it's great. You have like the dick dad element with like Owen Wilson in it. Owen Wilson dies at the end, so it's like this bittersweet ending again.
yeah.
They're like kind of also the ending where like because at the beginning Steve Zissou's like a joke, right? He's like a flawed genius. Everybody kind of hates him, and he's on a mission to kill the shark. He goes, he finds the shark, doesn't want to kill him, just realizes like he needs to feel kind of cared about. And like something matters because he lost his friend. And then at the end, there's like another film that he's released at this film festival, and he's just outside, not even watching, and he just leaves at the end.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
like, I don't really give a
Doesn't
shit
care at
anymore.
this point.
Yeah. And that
So-
to me it's a great story. I
So
love it.
you can say the evolution of the characters are pretty complete, come pretty full circle.
Yes.
Owen Wilson dies. So I mean, like at first he's like complete, he's just a complete asshole. And then by the end of it,
Yeah.
he's this beloved character who even to himself he doesn't care about all
Yeah.
the frivolous bullshit.
You know what's so funny to me is that I've always thought of like Rushmore as more dark, but nobody dies, right? I haven't seen it in forever, but like
Nobody dies.
Royal
no.
Tenenbaums, Royal dies,
Royal
and then
dies.
Life Aquatic, Owen Wilson's character dies. In the Darjeeling Limited, like a tiny Indian kid dies.
Yes, which might be all right. Let's talk about that. That might be the most dramatic scene in a Wes Anderson movie.
The funeral for that.
The funeral
kid.
for that kid.
Yeah.
Because they're all. It's almost like they're dealing with the funeral of their father, and
Yeah.
the funeral of that kid.
Yeah.
And they all. It's really actually a pretty. That's one of the standout scenes of that movie.
Yeah. Well, and it's
That-
also the
and
part
that-
where they just like let
limo
all their
part.
brother bullshit melt away. You know.
Yes.
Like they stop being because the whole movie they're just petty dicks to each other.
Yeah, or the limo part where they go and try to get the limo out of the shop so they can drive it to the.
Yeah.
My dad died a while ago, so like stuff like that. Although irrational stuff you do around that time, like that speaks to me a little bit. Like where it's
Yeah.
like you weird things that surround a big death in a family. That's what makes sense. So like that's You see what he was going for, but it's just not as good as Darjeeling. That's why I get why people don't dig Darjeeling. But the scene with the car, you see what they're being so adamant because they're so grief stricken or whatever it is. Like, so I like the idea of like this. Like, some people can watch that. If you don't get what's going on, you could watch that and go, "This is just dumb. They want the car to the garage. What?" But it's actually deeper than that, and I think it makes more sense.
They're just looking for something in the middle of grief.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, but I don't think it's as good of a movie. I think the quality of the movies, certain ones suffer than others. Like, I think they just miss the mark on certain things. Like, I think Rushmore is a more complete movie. And also, like, I think the attitude towards Wes Anderson changes after a while, because when he was attached to Owen Wilson more, like, the more direct comedy was right in your face, and you were like, these are comedies. Like, Rushmore is fucking funny. So much. It's more laugh out loud funny than Life Aquatic and the other ones.
I got it. There's so many lines in Life Aquatic. Like I was just thinking of in Life Aquatic, like there's
a hard defense episode.
There's a cross section in Life Aquatic where he's giving like the tour of the boat, and it's a very Wes Anderson scene, right?
Yeah.
It looks like a kid's storybook.
Yeah.
And then he goes to like his deep sea sub, and he goes, "That's like it's called the Deep Sea Diver," but you see crossed out as Jacqueline, and he goes, "What happened to Jacqueline?" And he's like, "She never really loved me." Shit like that just fucking gets me the whole time. There's a part where like they fight in Life Aquatic where he's like, "I'm gonna fight you, Steve," and then Bill Murray just punches him, and he goes, "You never say I'm gonna fight you, Steve. You just smile and then sucker punch him."
That's a pretty direct joke. Yeah. That's like in Rushmore when he was like, he talks about Vietnam and he goes, "Were you in the shit?" And he's like, "Yeah, I was in the shit."
Yeah, and then the whole play, the intensity of his play about Vietnam in Rushmore
it's amazing. They
so
literally
crazy.
have like real explosives, and then that's another thing where like the cheesy acting he does at the end, where he's like, "Say goodbye to Surf Boy." Like it's like this crazy cheesy.
Yeah. And he said, what does he say at the time? He's like, "You have glasses underneath your seat. Feel free to use them," or something like that.
Yeah,
and
your safety goggles underneath your seat.
Yes,
Feel free to use them.
Yeah. And the explosions start going off, and they just cut to a shot of everyone in the audience calmly putting them on while still enjoying. It's
perfect.
Yeah.
And even in the end, they have the whole. It's just this whole. They have the standoff with him and the girl, and he's like, "Will you marry me, late Sean?" Like, it's just like
you love it, Sean.
The overproduction of.
I can't believe that you were defending Royal Tenenbaums. You clearly love. Rushmore
you love it.
Well, but just because those are the ones you gave me, and you put Tenenbaums and Aquatic close.
Yeah.
Tenenbaums, I think. You can do the same thing. That's what I mean. Like, the comedy in them changed over time. Life Aquatic still had it, but there's a very big difference that happens later to sooner with these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone want to know my Royal Tenenbaums story?
Oh yes, it's perfect time. Okay.
Do you?
Well, we were in the middle of talking, but go ahead. Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, what is it?
I wouldn't interrupt if I didn't think you might really be tickled.
All right.
Now, I think I maybe mentioned this on the podcast before.
Even if you did, it makes sense though now.
Please forgive me. I don't give a shit about you.
I don't give a fuck about you.
Basically, when I was a young Long Island starlet, I was in an audition process and very deep into an audition process to play young Gwyneth Paltrow in the Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh, that's right. You didn't
up.
You didn't tell on the podcast. You told me that.
Yes, and
that's so
and
exciting.
it came down to if Gwyneth Paltrow was going to have brown hair or blonde hair in this movie, because you cannot dye a child's hair.
So if she had brown hair, you would have gotten the part.
Yes.
Wow.
And my mom called my whole career off after that. It was very stressful on the family.
Well, that's a very hard thing. That's very close to get to it.
It's very big of you to even like the Royal Tenenbaums.
Well, I did. That's the thing. I didn't watch it forever.
Wow, I forgot about that.
I was very bitter about it, and I never watched it. And,
I can see that.
And I thought it was like a stupid movie or a bad movie. Like, because the age I was when it came out, I didn't know it. I don't know if it even got that much like critical acclaim or anything.
I had a similar first internet because that was the first Wes Anderson movie I saw, and I saw it because my parents were like pretty conservative Christians.
Mm-hmm.
And
I wasn't allowed to watch stuff either as a kid.
And they rented Royal Tenenbaums not knowing that it's like not like a dart, but like they swear you see tits in it, I think, and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And we got about halfway through it, and my parents were just scandalized, and I was like, "This is fucking awesome."
Yes. Yes.
It was great.
Now, let me ask you this: do you remember the process?
As this podcast has been happening, I've been kind of having flashbacks to it. I don't remember the full thing, but I do remember there was a Cher impression at one point.
Really?
Yes, like I think I
But
was
that's not
asked.
in the movie. That's odd.
No. It was I was asked to do 2 different like comedic things or something.
And you chose Cher
One
impression
of
for
the
it?
things I did, I remember it being that, and I remember like being in the room and being with the adults, and I don't know if it was Wes Anderson. I mean, but I feel like it might have been.
It would have been
and
a
I
skinny
had
guy
no
with glasses,
idea.
nerdy-looking guy with
I mean,
glasses.
I don't remember,
Yeah, he's kinda
but like I would
nondescript
assume
looking, yeah.
now, like thinking back on
Yeah.
it, that
What did you do? Were you just like, "Do you believe?"
I don't. I think so. Like, yeah. Like, I do think it was like that. Like, I think that was something I used to do around town.
Sure. It's hard not to imitate her.
And
Yeah.
and I had some other kind of like story. I think I remember telling. And yeah, it was a lot of rounds and things. I
That's what I
have to ask
mean.
my mom about it. I've never brought it up. It was a
You
point
must
of
have to go back
tension.
and forth a million times for it.
Yeah, and my mom was like, "I'm not going into the city anymore."
It's too much. Yeah.
I had no idea that you were a kid actor.
I wasn't. I truly wasn't.
Thanks to Wes Anderson.
My mom worked at like the community theater in our town, so I was kind of like a weird orphan theater kid. And then this one time, there was this audition in the newspaper, and they were looking for young Gwyneth Paltrow. My mom's friend showed it to her and said, you should send Farrah for this. And so, like, they probably mailed a paper headshot. And like,
Oh, that's funny.
so that was it. That
Well, you know
was
what
the whole career.
My sister, back in the day when they were going to film Born on the 4th of July, the Oliver Stone movie, she went to go try out in Long Island to go play his younger sister, Ron Kovac's younger sister, in the movie when he's younger. And when I was there, I forget what round she got to for that. When I was there, they saw me and they wanted me to audition to be young Tom Cruise.
Oh my god!
I was like, I looked
that's
way
so
different than
cool.
I do now. So
Yeah,
I went there,
I saw pictures
and
of
I
you when
was
you were
such
little.
an idiot. I had no interest, and I went, no, I don't want to go home. I don't want to do it. I said no. And my mom was like, all right,
I
we'll go.
love that. I love
That's
that.
what I was told. I was told I turned it down when I was there.
In a different world, you could have been a young Tom
You're
Cruise.
going to young Tom Cruise. Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. I
you can
love
see
it.
you can see why. But yeah, I think what we were saying before about the movies is that.
But anyway, so I eventually watched it,
Sure.
and I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
And I forgot all about the sordid past.
don't get-
and I really loved the movie.
Yeah, I don't get people that hey, I mean,
was great.
teach their own. But if
But-
you don't enjoy at least some Wes Anderson,
I think there's great. Oh, totally. I think there's
Yeah.
great straight up comedy in Tenenbaums. One thing that comes up the best is when he goes when Luke Wilson goes to talk to Gene Hackman. And he goes and they working as the elevator operator, and he goes, "Hey, can I talk to you for a minute, Dad?" And then I don't know where he goes. Of course,
He
And
reacts
goes to the radio,
like
he
it's an
goes,
emergency.
We'll go to hit it, and he hits the elevator like it's like hyperspeed.
Yeah,
and
like-
he's like, "No, I mean like in gen, like you know, not now, like whatever."
yeah.
So these old moments, like, or when he's arguing with Danny Glover, and he was like, and he calls him Coltrane.
Yeah, he's like, what if I did? You wouldn't be able to do anything about it, would you? Yeah.
He goes, sit on it, like just like old timey, like.
Yeah. Don't you tell me to sit down. Yeah.
It's great. It's great. But what I'm saying is like, I think Life Aquatic, I think missed the mark on those a little bit more. I think there wasn't as much of those moments.
trying
I
to
think
think.
that I don't. I think story wise, I liked. I liked Rushmore story wise better. And Tenenbaums, I think story wise, I think it was better.
You're obsessed with Rushmore, Sean.
Well, I do think Rushmore's a better. I think Rushmore's probably the best one he did, and I'm not. Look at the stats. Not that I'm saying stats on stats is.
What
great.
was our other segment we were gonna do?
What's that?
I forget.
We had a bunch of ideas. I can't remember.
What do you think? Because this is also another, just in defense, because now I am more vehemently defending Life
Sam
Aquatic.
is the Life Aquatic spokesperson.
I think one of the best scenes, and it makes me laugh and it makes me go fuck yeah, and it involves the soundtrack, is in Life Aquatic when the pirates are on board and they have them in rope their wrists, and like Steve Zissou breaks free, and he's like, "That's it, get the hell off my boat." He like punches a guy, and that Iggy and the Stooges song kicks on, and it's just a montage of Steve Zissou going crazy and firing a gun. That's my favorite.
Yeah, okay, that's cool.
I'm sold on this movie.
Life Aquatic?
Yeah.
Well, you haven't seen it. Yeah, you have to check it out.
I want to see it.
There's also, I'm sorry, now I'm just, but the...
You know what else is different?
I wanna know.
You know what different me too is because this came out after Tenenbaums, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
this was the next one after.
That's like, I think it was a drop off for me. I think because I didn't.
Yeah, I get that.
I didn't enjoy it as much as the other ones. I think
Yeah.
I went, that wasn't as good as you know.
I loved it. I remember. I think maybe also I didn't see Tenenbaums in the theater. I remember it being an event to see Life Aquatic in the theater for me because that was I got turned on by Tenenbaums. I think I saw Rushmore, and then the next one to come out was Life Aquatic.
See, I saw Bottle Rocket on video, Rushmore in the movies, Tenenbaums in the movies, and then Life Aquatic. Everything since then in the movies. Moonrise Kingdom I saw in the movies. And for his, you do kind of need that for his.
It is nice.
It's an event.
It's very interesting, his career. Because those movies don't make jack shit, but he has enough street cred in Hollywood that he just, then so many actors love him and Hollywood loves him so much that he just gets to make these things. They probably don't do, I think it's wide release actually after a while, and they release them pretty wide. But like they're not making millions of dollars with these movies.
No. But I was listening to a Jeff Goldblum interview, and he was talking about that, about Isle of Dogs. And,
he took a pay cut?
Well, just the idea of like they were like, so you got this new movie, Isle of Dogs. He's like, yes, of course, Wes Anderson. Anytime he calls, I just say yes right away.
Right,
exactly
right,
like
right.
that. Yeah.
And you wonder, the thought process there is like, we love Wes Anderson. I after a while, like I said, like I didn't enjoy Moonrise Kingdom as much as I enjoyed the other ones. Are they signing on because there's a cool factor to it? You think, or do you think it's like they enjoy the material?
I think
they probably
it's
enjoy the
definitely
material.
Cool to be in a Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
And it's still, and you think still at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah. It has its own, like you said, they have their own language. It's its own universe.
It's cool.
It's a cool thing.
Also, at this point, it's got a pretty good track record. Even if you don't, even the worst ones, nobody's like, ugh, I'm ashamed that.
And also, like,
that.
imagine
you're right.
you get
Yeah.
so many scripts all the time, and then think about the scripts of the Wes Anderson. Like, that sentence made no sense, but like getting one of those scripts, it's definitely going to stick out as special and more interesting to you. And
Yeah, but I think
I could
think,
see,
You know what kind of probably helps him is having his own fantasy world universe because, like, you're reading it. If you're one of these actors, you're reading it like, well, I'd have to see the visuals for it to really realize because it sounds probably batshit crazy as you're reading it in real life. Because you can't all be winners. Like look at I
kind of want to see Isle of Dogs tonight.
like the Coen Brothers did Intolerable Cruelty. That movie is dog shit. It's terrible. Or that new one that came out that I was dying to see. The one with Josh Brolin in it and Clooney's in it. Not Josh Brolin. Oh yeah, Josh Brolin's
Is
in
it
it.
Hail Caesar?
Hail Caesar.
I actually haven't seen a new Coen Brothers movie.
Hail
in a minute.
Caesar is awful.
yeah.
Is it bad?
What? You're out of your mind. Alex, did you liked Hail Caesar? Wait, the
I
whole
actually
thing?
saw this one.
You the whole thing? Oh, you're crazy. It made no sense. Talk about it now. Go on the mic. Talk about it now for a second. What did you love about it?
It's a celebration of old Hollywood.
Please, will the 90-year-old man in your body please come out and enjoy the
Listen. Josh Brolin, when he takes George Clooney and throws him against the wall, I thought that was such a fucking cool scene. Like,
but I'm saying story-wise, it's terrible, and it makes no sense, and the ending sucks, and there's double agents in it and stuff. I know the look of it. That's why I was so excited to see it, and I think I love Clooney. I think Clooney is the closest thing you have to an old-time movie star. I love Clooney, and the fact that and also it's the only. Well, he's done a bunch of other Coen Brothers movies actually, but oh, you're crazy. You're out of your mind. You compare it to other Coen Brothers movies. You put it up there.
I think it's one of the more underrated ones.
Which one do you put at the bottom?
Intolerable Cruelty.
Yeah, it's
probably.
terrible. It's terrible.
Who was in Intolerable Cruelty?
Catherine
What?
Zeta-Jones and I think it's George Clooney, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like that's another thing you have to do. You have to go. They can't all be winners. So when you're looking at these Wes Anderson movies, I'm like, what goes on the bottom for me? Moonrise Kingdom doesn't go on the bottom.
No.
Life Aquatic, it kind of does. Yeah.
I can't believe you're putting it on the bottom.
Oh,
That's
man.
what hurts.
Damn.
I would actually,
conflicted.
and I'm so sorry. I think just given that I couldn't stay awake through it, Fantastic Mr. Fox would go on the
Well, I
bottom
think
for me.
those is different because they're animated. I kind of put them in a different.
But it's
heard
also
it
like a
was
similar
good.
cast.
I don't jump.
People
to,
liked it. I couldn't get
I
into
the
it.
thing is animation, claymation, all that kind of stuff. I just don't jump to see those right away.
Yeah.
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 But I probably would enjoy it. You know,
I would put and not because it was a bad movie. I just
It got a 93% Rotten Tomatoes.
Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Yes.
Well, that
That's
did very
crazy.
well. Yeah.
94% of Google users.
That's the only Wes Anderson thing Clooney did. I think. I'd love to see Clooney do
How
a
did-
live
I
action.
heard it was really, really good.
How did Moonrise Kingdom do?
I don't think it did that well.
I cannot. It's
I
like
loved
making
it.
me lose my mind.
93%. That's right, baby.
That's insane
I
to me.
loved Moonrise Kingdom.
The worst rated.
That's what I'm.
Do you think, though, it has something to do with that these are more recent movies, so maybe
Yeah.
more people participate in Rotten Tomatoes?
It's
than
very. It's a
That's
good
true.
chance.
Yeah.
potentially.
Here's the thing. The other thing
Yeah.
is, I'm like, I'm also. That's also 10 years later, 15 years. I'm wondering if people are just like, this guy can do no wrong. Like where it's like,
I don't think
because
so.
like I just said before, like they're almost like, hey, it's the universe of Wes Anderson, and it's as long as it's not just like, because they're not all 93%. Like Moonrise Kingdom, it did better than Tenenbaums.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I think also that is probably due to a higher profile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Wes Anderson was like the hot new director. He's like an artsy director that's kind of has a wider appeal. And so then it's just him getting a wider audience to a certain extent. I
think you're right, and that's what Farrah was saying. Where it's, and we talked about that with Rotten Tomatoes before, where it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
The net's larger, so your average is going to get all screwy because of that.
Yeah.
But I don't. I kind of like think of it as like the things that I like when I like. All right, I wanted to be a movie director when I was in like high school and grammar school and stuff. I was like so into it, and like the Wes Anderson when when I was in college, I was like 18, and I saw Bottle Rocket. I'm like, ooh, I'll go to film school just like Wes Anderson, and I'll be like, and I think that affects me more now than when I see other stuff come out. I don't know if I've outgrown part of it. Like Moonrise Kingdom, I watch and I enjoy, but I'm not sitting there like, especially with the comedy and stuff like that. I'm not like, oh my god, there's all these iconic moments.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't tell you a moment from Moonrise Kingdom that I was like, that's amazing. But Rushmore has them.
I
Tenenbaums
could
has
tell
them.
you many.
You could not.
Yes, I could.
All right, do it right now.
I don't remember off the top of my head. There was oceans. You know I love anything with water. There were a lot of
Well,
meant to
then
see
might I
it.
suggest to you the Life Aquatic?
Oh my god, that's perfect.
Perfect.
He's getting you right on
We've
his
wrapped
side.
it up.
No, so I think it just comes down to like, so if you do Life Aquatic versus Royal Tenenbaums, to me it's no contest. So but it's so much closer to you. That's why I find it so interesting.
I do think that Royal Tenenbaums is the high watermark, but yeah, for me, Life Aquatic is a close, and I mean pretty close second. Yeah, I like it so much. I think Cate Blanchett's so good in it. The fact that she like doesn't want to curse in front of her baby. Oh my god, that's one of the funniest lines. Yeah, where she they cover earlier in the movie. He's like, "Why don't you just curse like a normal person?" She's like, "I'm trying to get out of the habit before I have my fucking baby." And then later on, he's in her room and she catches him. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing in here?" And he's like, "No, Jane, what the f are you doing?" It's good.
You're a fan.
Yeah.
I just think that I think Tenenbaums having Gene Hackman, I think really does it for me. Because the other thing is this:
like Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman, he was done probably 5 years after Tenenbaums. Like he's been retired for a long time.
Yeah,
and Royal Tenenbaums is such a great character.
It's a really. Do you know the story behind that? Is that apparently he like asked Gene Hackman about it, and Gene Hackman was like, just don't write it with me in mind. Just write it and see if you can find it. And then he's like, and of course he just went ahead and did it anyway. And just wrote
it with him in
He was
mind?
like, listen, I know that you said that, but I did write this.
And it's perfect. It's
Yeah.
perfect with him in it. That's what I mean. I think that's where you get with that Wes Anderson movies. One of the greatest elements is the character sometimes. Because if you look at Jason Schwartzman, not Silverman, Schwartzman in Rushmore. That's a great character.
Yeah.
It's just this weirdo, nerdy, a confident nerd character.
Yeah.
Like,
Borderline.
or the
Sociopath.
Scottish kid in the tree. Like,
Yeah.
all these things that, like, I think the best thing about a movie is if you can differentiate every character and then just imagine their world one by one, and you're not mixing up people. Like, you see some of these action movies, you see some of these thrillers that you're like, wait, isn't that the same guy from the beginning that he got shot in his foot and he did this and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what's so great about Wes Anderson. It's like a storybook where where it's like,
Yeah.
and here's this guy looks completely different from this guy, and this guy's, and you can almost tell their backstory just by one scene with them.
It's all about the detail, and I think it brings up, as an actor, you must be thrilled to even get like a 2-line part because you know that you're going to have an identity as a 2-line character.
Right. Yeah, it's very involved.
Cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So I think, to me, what exemplifies the Wes Anderson movie more is Tenenbaums, because you have how many great characters do you have?
It's got to be the most.
Oh my God, one of the best lines
They couldn't
ever.
find any room for Cher. Fuck.
Well, one of the greatest things ever. I forgot about with Tenenbaums. One of the greatest lines at the end when Owen Wilson goes to rehab and he goes, hey, this is my sponsor. Runs with 2 horses. He's at like the Native American rehab or whatever, and he's doing like rope tricks. And he's like, oh hey, this is my sponsor. Runs with 2 horses.
Yeah. After the end, where he like runs the car in to the apartment, it kills the dog, and then there's a fireman there like after the accident, and he goes, "Are you?" I can't remember his name, and he's like, "Yeah, I am." He's like, "Oh, I love your work," and he's like, "Oh, how sweet of you to say." And he's in handcuffs.
Yeah. Well, that's a great scene too. The dog. That's also I can't. You know who is like that too is when dogs get hurt or killed in movies. I can't stand it. So the dog gets run over in this movie. And that's a really sad scene, and it's great too because there's a whole plot line with Ben Stiller where his whole being caught up about his dead wife gets resolved right there with him, and like, it's almost like he resolves it with every kid.
Oh yeah, like we've had a rough year, Dad. He starts crying.
Yes, it's really sad. Yeah.
That brings up another detail about Royal Tenenbaum that's so cool is that both dogs in that movie, like he meets them and just goes, "Sit Buckley, sit Sparkplug," and they sit right away. It's like this weird detail.
Yeah.
Like every dog sits when Royal Tenenbaum says sit.
Yeah. It's
I
very
need to
strange.
rewatch.
Yeah. It's really, really good. But I want to thank you for doing the podcast.
Oh,
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks for having me,
That's it.
guys. This
But
is great.
I think we you write to us and tell us what you guys think. Who made the better argument?
I'm gonna get so much shit for this.
We're gonna we get a lot of hate mail on this show.
Well, here's the thing. It's like I let you. A lot of people are going to say Life Aquatic, but to be honest, you stuck to Life Aquatic. I had some Rushmore love in there for a while, so
I'm probably going to rewatch Rushmore after this.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
It's really great, and I think that another great thing with like it's such a badass soundtrack, like you said.
Yeah.
It's such a good fucking soundtrack. Anything you would like to plug, my friend?
No, I got a weekly show in Queens at Rar Bar. It's called Tyrannosaurus. Come every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's really good.
Farrah?
Come to the show. What show?
I don't know. You tell me.
Rent Party every third Wednesday of the month at Union Hall in Brooklyn. Very fun time. Come hang out. Come say hi to me, and I will be nice to you.
And Sam, do you have a Twitter?
Yeah, at Really Sam Evans.
And Farrah?
At Farrah Brook.
And I'm at Showing Time on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, I have SeanDonnellyComedy.com. Go to ShowbizzStudios.com. We want to thank Alex for you letting us use the studio, not for him liking fucking Caesar. Hail Caesar. Jesus Christ. No, thank you so much. Check out their YouTube page as well as their iTunes page. Defend Your Movie. We'll be back next week. Thank you so much for listening. We love you. Let us know what you think of the new format.
Goodbye.
If you think it's more interesting. Goodbye.
There's a time